It's week 4 of college football. The Buckeyes scored 20 points in a victory that they don't sound too happy about, and it's again unclear who the starting quarterback is. We're talking about it right here. Welcome to National Minute. I'm Evan Simkowitz. Here today is Lori Schmidt, who covers the Buckeyes for 97.1 The Fan here in Columbus. Lori, I'm glad you're here because what a week for the Buckeyes. Overwhelming favorites against Northern Illinois, ended up only winning by a touchdown. And, like I said, they won, but they didn't sound too happy about it. And I think it's really hard to diagnose what's going on because it's really difficult to quantify what the issues are with the offense. Amazing performance by the defense that actually contributed in scoring some of those points. But it looks like a lot of the blame or responsibility, what have you, is shifting to the offensive line. Where are we?
Well, if you ask an offensive lineman, they'll tell you that their problem is they've been preparing for defenses that they're not seeing on film, which is an issue they faced last year. They will tell you that they did not prepare for the odd front that Northern Illinois presented, and therefore they didn't make game day adjustments as they should have, and that made them stumble. I still don't know that that's enough of an explanation to describe why they could not score as much against the Huskies as FCS team Murray State did. I would think that there's also some issues with play calling, and not maybe the issues that you hear a lot of, why aren't we feeding Zeke more? He's getting 25 touches a game, but issues like they have so many weapons, Evan. They have so many weapons and so many ways to get it to those weapons that I'm wondering how big their playbook is at this point. And I'm wondering if those guys aren't thinking too much because they have to have so much memorized. And if during game week they aren't practicing a billion different things and therefore not getting really, really good at a couple things and forming an identity based on those things. Do you remember the Titans?
Sure.
Oh yeah, I mean, Coach Boone, How many plays did he run like Novocaine? This is not, it's the opposite of what the Buckeyes are doing right now. They're trying so much and they have so much to work with. Maybe it's a little overwhelming for them at this point.
It's interesting. There was actually an article a couple days ago from our friends over at 11 Warriors.
Who do great work.
They do. And there was a lot of football jargon and a lot of very short gifs of the offensive line. And I guess they tried to detail what went right and what went wrong. And you're right that there may just be too much going on. But it doesn't seem like the offensive line is pushing the line of scrimmage like Coach Meyer described, but it doesn't seem like defenses are respecting the offense. Stacking 7 or 8 men in the box against even Jones with the big arm, how much of a problem is that?
I think that other teams are respecting Ohio State. They have to try to stop something. I mean, they're either going to line up to try to stop Zeke or they're going to lay off and let him run all over them. So I don't think that's necessarily a sign of disrespect. I do think that there are issues within the odd front that it prevents the offensive linemen from doing their power blocking and double teaming that they want to do, that they prefer to do. And I think there's an element of when you're in an odd front, it's sometimes a little more difficult to diagnose where the blitz is going to come from. And I think those are two things that the line and the offense as a whole has been dealing with.
When you're for the run game, I guess if that element's going to struggle particularly against the odd front, is the option to just continue feeding the ball to Zeke right up the middle, or do they continue with this Curtis Samuel and maybe some of the Braxton Miller, either a bubble route or a fade? How do they overcome this odd front if that's what they're going to keep seeing?
Well, I don't know that I would say that the run game is struggling in that Ezekiel has run for at least 100 yards in every game that he's played this year.
8 straight.
Correct. I knew you'd done your homework.
Yeah, I try.
Well, others try, you succeed. But let me tell you, I don't think it's struggling as much as some people may say it is. They're racking up yards. What they aren't doing is getting the big hit. They aren't getting that 80-some yards through the heart of the South run that they were before. And that's a function of the edge blocking and the fact that you lost 2 great blocking wide receivers in Evan Spencer and Devin Smith. And this is a young, inexperienced, and with Paris Campbell out now, you've lost another guy who is fairly good at blocking. And I think that's where the issues in the run game have come in. They aren't able to get that big hit yet. And that's a function of the wide receivers blocking.
I'm glad you brought that up because I think The run game really opened up when the Cardell Jones, Devin Smith connection was formed last year. You know, those big plays, hundreds of yards, highlight reel touchdowns. Devin Smith is gone. Cardell Jones was named the starter, and like I said, they're stacking 7 in the box against him. They're giving him the downfield shot, but he's not getting it. How much of concern is that? Because it looks like the short route that this offense really is designed more for, so maybe more of like a Barrett-style offense, isn't working for Jones. And, you know, uninspired playbook or not, it just doesn't look like Jones has the skills and the weapons to get done what they want.
My concern with Jones would be that he got every single snap in the spring as a function of the injury to J.T. Barrett and Braxton Miller, and I haven't seen the improvement that you would expect given that he had all those snaps and all that time to work with the offense. That would be my concern with Cardell. I don't understand why they aren't going downfield more. I mean, we've seen Michael Thomas a couple plays this year and last year. The man has magnets, end zone seeking magnets in his shoes, and you can just throw it up and he will get you a catch when you need it. So I would quite frankly like to see that more. And I think people who say that J.T. Barrett's incapable of throwing that pass would be underselling J.T. a little bit. And I don't understand what's going on with Cardell and his inability to go east-west the way that they've asked him to. I know that the theory is that Cardell may be a better quarterback, J.T. may be a better fit for this team. But I think that might be underselling them both a little bit. I think the problems are bigger than quarterback at this point, but you're not wrong to say that the quarterbacks are definitely struggling.
Is it possible that now, if let's say Jones starts again, it'll be his 7th career start, is it possible he's already overexposed?
That defenses understand what he's capable of now and are reading him? Yeah, I would think that there's probably something to that. That's definitely something that Cardell has to deal with. I also think that there's, like I said, the lack of improvement. I just have not seen him take a significant stride forward. Now, maybe that's the result of the fact that defenses are defending him now in a more effective manner. Maybe that's a function of Tom Herman not being there to work with him. Maybe that's the result of plays not coming up from the press box like they were before, and therefore they're not seeing on the field what defenses are presenting, and therefore not putting Cardell in the best situation. It's probably a combination of all these things, because when you've got an offense that was expected to be an all-timer, and they can't score as much as an FCS team against Northern Illinois, it's not just one thing.
It's interesting that you bring that up, because they did say on Monday they're talking about potentially having Ed Warner move upstairs to give them that look, and maybe that's something that'll key some improvements. I said again that it seems like the quarterback conversation has just ripped open again. Who are you expecting to see on Saturday?
Honestly, I expect at this point to see J.T. Barrett, and I'm just reading tea leaves like anyone else, but Urban Meyer sure has referred to his starting quarterback in the past tense quite a bit this week. And if you were going with Cardell Jones again, I don't understand why you wouldn't have announced that on Monday, because what the man seems to need is a boost of confidence. And if you keep people second guessing for this whole week and you don't make a change, then it really seems like you've undercut the quarterback you've been throwing out there to start this entire time.
Well, I'm different. I think that Urban Meyer is enjoying the gamesmanship aspect of this. I think he's enjoying keeping everyone on their toes, and at least at the beginning of the season, part of the idea was to keep defenses from really knowing who to plan for. But I'm not even prepared to make a guess, because I was wrong once and I don't want to be wrong again. But looking at, regardless of who starts, Western Michigan Broncos coming in to town this weekend. If you're a Buckeye fan, what are you looking for as signs of improvement in a big loss, in a big victory, or another tightly contested one? How do you evaluate this team as having improved?
See, unlike you, I have been wrong before, and I'm unafraid to be wrong again because I'm well practiced at it at this point. So I will say what I expect to see this week is for Ohio State to run the ball. Western Michigan's a defense that has been giving up over 224 rushing yards a game. I think the coaches have heard the offensive linemen who've been pushing for they'll tell you, they've gone to the sidelines and say, why aren't we pounding this ball right up the gut? Why are we not doing that? I think they've probably heard that from the offensive linemen. They look at the Broncos coming in, and they see this as a time to get that aspect of their game going. And then Urban Meyer has always talked about that being part of their identity. So I think that's something that they are definitely going to key on this week and push that as what they want to accomplish.
Run that ball right up the middle, just like Ezekiel Elliott is supposed to, and we just haven't seen it thus far this year. Do you want to take a stab at the score? Or?
Whew. Boy, I have been so wrong on the scores so far this year.
We all have.
Yeah. I want to say 37-3.
Mark it down. That's it for this week's National Minute. You can follow all of Lori's coverage of the Buckeyes and sports in Columbus on 97.1 FM and 97.1thefan.columbus.com. Buckeyes kick off against the Western Michigan Broncos at 3:30 on Saturday. We'll have complete coverage on thelantern.com. For Lori, I'm Evan Simkowitz.